Good afternoon. My name is Dr. John Hendren, Director of Public Relations for PDK International, which runs Educators Rising, a national career and technical student organization. And we're so glad you're joining us this afternoon for this webinar entitled Your Path, Your Way, Customizing the Educators Rising Lessons to Fit Different State Frameworks. I am very pleased to have two of my very smart and energetic colleagues with me. Dr. Lisa Rollins, who is our National Outreach Director, and Debbie Weaver Ballo, who is our National Implementation Manager. And these two ladies are heavily involved in the CTSO experience and working with districts who have purchased Educators Rising curriculum. This webinar was intended for folks who may never have heard of what we offer, but also tailored information for those that have already established chapters or are thinking about curriculum or who may be in their first few years of using our curriculum. So we welcome everyone here. As I turn it over to Lisa, you're going to see something pop up on your screen asking your role in education. We would encourage you to fill that out. And before I turn it over, the last thing is instead of using the chat feature, we use the Q&A feature here in Zoom. So as we go through today, if you have any questions, feel free to park your questions there and we'll do our best to answer them before we let you go. Without further ado, I'll turn it over to Lisa.
Thank you so much, John. Thank you for everybody being here. I see some familiar names in the audience, so I'm happy to see you here. I'm happy to be here. I am also ecstatic to be able to introduce Debbie in just a little bit. First, we want to go over some information about what is Educators Rising, what is PDK. PDK is the parent company. Our premier program is Educators Rising. We've been around for years and years and years, but you may not have known that. In 1937, we were Future Teachers of America. In 1994, we were Future Educators Association. And in 2015, we rebranded into Educators Rising. So we just celebrated our 10-year anniversary with our largest national conference yet in Orlando, Florida in June. And it was really powerful. So we're really proud to know that we have had 151,000 students come through since we started in 2015. And it is technically a grow your own program, right? If you think about the number of students and teachers who want to teach in their community, I am a product of having to leave my state because there were no jobs available for me when I graduated college. So we want to keep our students in their communities so they reflect the communities in which they serve. And Educators Rising does a really good job of embedding our students and our teachers in our communities. And that's why Grow Your Own is so powerful, and we've been able to grow at the rate that which we've grown. Next, you're going to see a map of the United States, and you'll see almost all of them are colored blue, which means they are state affiliates of ours. We have 39 state affiliates with over 20,000 student members and over 1,000 chapters. If you don't see your state highlighted in blue, that means you have a presence, but you're not a state affiliate. So feel free to reach out to us at Educators Rising to help you get an official state affiliate agreement. You'll also see, like in California and New York, we have little blotches of blue. That means we have regional affiliations there. So you can also start a regional affiliation, and we welcome everyone, no matter what size you are. We welcome future educators here. Next, we're going to talk about why Grow Your Own is relevant. I already mentioned that we want our students to stay in our communities, right? Because then they will reflect our communities, but we know that we have underqualified and unfulfilled vacancies. And what better way than to explore education while in high school to know if you like it or not? Don't wait till you get to college and you get your first student teaching and go, oh, this isn't for me. Let's explore that in high school. We're having free public education, right? Don't spend money on something you're not sure about. And Ed Rising will help to fill those vacancies, and we make sure that our students are prepared. In a previous webinar, there were some college students on there, and they said, we are light years ahead of our counterparts because of our Ed Rising training. We could teach this college course because we already had this in high school. So it's a really good opportunity to get your kids some experience while in high school if you have an education and training pathway. Even if you don't, I really highly encourage you to start a chapter. It takes one teacher and one student to start a chapter, and it's $15 for students, and teachers are free. So think about how you can start a chapter, even if you don't have a pathway, and start a pathway from that chapter because it is inspiring to see the kids who are really excited. It's really important too that those kids that are in our chapters are more likely to enter the workforce. So we did a 4-year study in Ohio, and it showed that over 80% of students indicated an interest in education professions. And I'll touch into our curriculum next, but I do want to mention that career exploration is a thing, right? They don't know what they don't know. They don't know that there's more careers in education than teaching, right? We have admin, we have support services, we need bus drivers, we need cafeteria workers, we need paraprofessionals. There's a place for everyone in education. I actually had a meeting recently where a collegiate student told me they're doing digital marketing and social media for a school district. So you might not think of that as you're, going into education or exploring careers, but our curriculum goes over all of those different types of careers and dives into what a student might not even know is an option, right? I had a student who was, I want to be a nurse. I want to be a nurse. I have no room in my life for education. I said, hold up, wait. You could be a school nurse. She was like, I could? Like she didn't know she could be a school nurse. So you have to really open up your mind to the students and their careers and the opportunities that are there for them. So think about that when Debbie talks about some of the curriculum parts of it, like how you can tie that into career exploration. So now I'll dive into what we call the 5 C's. And why are they called the 5 C's? Well, because they all start with C, and it's easy for me to remember. So we have chapters, which obviously I talked about, one student, one teacher, $15 for students, and that opens them up to scholarships. It opens them up to leadership opportunities just by being a paid member, and then it gets them eligible for competitions. Competitions, if you have a state competition, you compete at your state, and the top 10 will then qualify to go to nationals. If you don't have a state conference, you can automatically apply to come and compete at nationals. Our national conference that I already mentioned last year in Orlando was our biggest one yet. It is so inspiring to see over 3,500 future educators roaming the halls and so excited. And even the hotel said to us, if we could have this group of kids every conference, because they're so good, they're so well behaved, they're so thoughtful. Someone dropped a $20 bill on the floor and they're like, someone dropped money. Like they're just teachers and educators at heart already. And so it's just really great to see. And then our fourth C is community, which at the conference and through our state events builds that community because sometimes teachers can feel like they're on an island alone, right? And we don't ever want any of our kids to feel like they're alone. So we start to build that collaborative community with Educators Rising. We encourage them to join Aspiring Ed at the collegiate level. There's just a lot of opportunities for them to meet new people, and they love to trade pins. So like Alaska will bring pins, and then Ohio will bring pins, and then they get to meet each other, and it's just really impactful. Our last C is curriculum, and that is where I feel the strongest about because I was the teacher who wrote the 4-year curriculum for a 4-year pathway and had to create those things. And when you're doing it yourself compared to when you have something with you already that is done, the lessons, the activities, the guided reading, the notes, it's so much off your plate. And we find a lot of times our education teachers aren't full-time education pathway teachers. They might be teaching English or history or other things. So giving them the resources they need to be successful to inspire the next generation of educators is important. So some of our products and supports, we do have the curriculum, which Debbie is going to go through. It comes with lesson assessments. It comes in 1, 3, and 5-day formats. We also have performance-based digital assessments that you'd have access to. The other thing is the micro credentials. I will say that those are great tools to have and add to your students' resumes and get those digital micro credential badges, but they are not easy. They do take 5 to 15 hours to do. They are graded by a third party called Digital Promise. And they're so rich, right? And we have preparation in our portal for you to prepare your students to take these micro credentials as well. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to shoot us an email, put your information in the Q&A, and we can reach out to you with more information on that. Now I want to turn over to our standards and to Debbie, who we do have standards that are aligned to national board standards and INTEST standards. So it's very easy for you to take your state standards and your curriculum that you're currently using and crosswalk that to these standards. So as Debbie kicks off the how do I adapt this to fit my needs and my state and my kids, think about crosswalking those so that you can check off, yep, I sure did explore a profession, understand that I sure did teach them this, and you can crosswalk that to our curriculum. And again, I'm going to turn it over to Debbie, who is our National Implementation Manager here at Educators Rising, to talk about some of the features and some of the ways that you can contextualize your own slide deck. And if you're interested in obtaining these slide decks, that you can get some more information. Debbie?
Would help if I came off mute, I suppose.
Yeah.
Thanks so much, Lisa. Oh my gosh. Just
Absolutely.
even when we're going through this, I'm just always constantly reminded, like if you are right now listening to this and you're like, I talk to so many teacher leaders and principals and superintendents across the country who have purchased the curriculum, because by the time that I'm introduced to everyone, usually it's like, we've purchased this, now show us how to use it, how to roll it out. But we have so many people that'll come to trainings and they'll say, I can't believe I sat on the fence for so long about this. Like, I've been sitting here trying to figure out, how do I roll out a CTE program for a pre-educator pathway? I don't know where to even start. We have that covered for you. And that's like one of the great joys that we get, is to now work with teachers who say, I was creating this on my own. I was trying to come up with things, just, I don't know, no one gave me any sort of resources. So where do I start? And while they did a great job, with what they did, this has made their lives so much less stressful, because they know that not only are these resources things that they can immediately just start implementing, it's also things that can be aligned beautifully to fit your state's CTE framework. So that's another huge part of having this team, this national team that we have, that can also help you at looking at, oh, you're from this state, let's look at your framework. Let's see how we can show you how to align it. But truthfully, it's also a no-brainer. Your teachers, some very, very smart people, and again, you're getting the best and the brightest to run these programs, are going to look at this and go, oh, my standards say this, and you've got the resource right here and right here and right here. So that's what you're going to be really excited about seeing today, is that we have these four main areas that really help with customizing this to fit your framework. And that is one, first of all, our formats. We don't just give you the lesson format as this is it, this is your one way to do it. You could do it as a 1 day, as a 3 day, as a 5 day, as somewhere in between that. You could stretch it over 2 weeks if you want to. There's lots of different ways to implement the formats that we have of the lesson. We also can show you that there are content crosswalks that we can do with your state to kind of look in, well, let's look specifically at California, or let's look at Alabama, and let's see what your CTE standards look like. Let's show you how this aligns. I'm going to show you a few examples of that. Pedagogical projects are embedded into everything that we do, from the actual curriculum having lesson embedded projects, to also outside projects that you can do, as Lisa alluded to, with micro-credentials, competition resources, and whatnot. And then we have support materials for another really key piece of a CTE, of your CTE state standards, is get the students doing practical experiences. How do we get them doing student teaching or getting that clinical experience? We actually have support materials that our teachers tell us all the time. They're so grateful that they have a place to start, from an application process to here are the guidelines, etc. So are you guys ready? Let's go. We're going to dive in and look at some. So when it comes to content crosswalks, this is just an example of when we're working with the state of Maryland, for example, and they said, I'd like to just kind of see how well this aligns to curriculum that we have to use in our state. We have been told we have to use this because it's a beautifully put together program for Maryland, but sometimes the teachers are like, ooh, but I would love a little bit more in terms of some projects or some different things. Fantastic, we have you covered. And they're like, but how exactly does it align? So then we broke down like, well, here's how your program looks, and then here's the Educators Rising resources that align to these different broad topics and themes. Now, I kept it in terms of broad topics. We have it broken down into like each different unit of study and how it aligns. But just to show you, look at the rich amount of resources that we have here in our membership portal. And also, this is the curriculum, each unit of study that goes along and will complement beautifully this state curriculum. So if you're already thinking, well, why would I need to have another curriculum when I already have a state curriculum? Ask your teacher who's running the program. They will oftentimes
Right.
tell you they still feel like they need, right, Lisa? We
A
hear it all
hundred
the time. They're
percent.
like, still
I
need some
hear
more
it.
assignments. I need some more, some things like
Yep.
there's going to be like holes. And actually, that's what's beautiful is they complement each other so nicely. So
Yep. I hear it all the time is I need more. What I have isn't enough. I need supplemental. I need more. I need more pre-packaged but flexible things.
exactly. And so when we are working with teachers, obviously we're going to take them straight in and show them the boatload of amazing resources that we have for our teachers in 1 day, 3 day. The PowerPoints are in 1 day and 3 day. So you can see like growth mindset here. We've got the full lesson created for teachers in this beautiful slide deck as a 1 day or a what we call 3 day, 5 day, because the 3 day, 5 day is really just a 3 day PowerPoint deck, but it gives you the opportunity to do projects. So project-based learning if you extend it through the 5 days. And but look at the just even the titles of these as you start to like think about your own state standards. We know that we have to help students understand like the background into, how student learning evolves and how to motivate the unmotivated and inspire the uninspired and whatnot. And a lot of that starts with growth mindset. Then we get into just like how schools work. How does a district work? Actually, I was at a recent training out in North Dakota and there was a principal there and he said, I'm going to run this as PD for my staff. And he's really excited about running this as PD. He loved the lesson. He was like, "Oh my gosh, this is amazing."
That's great.
Professionalism, so we have all of these really rich topics, and again, this has all already been aligned with national boards and um, American Federation of Education. I mean, we have really done our alignment with all these different resources. But just to kind of show you then, what do these look like when you open them up? Just to show you really quick, because this is part of your customization, is that you can then look at this is a 1 day PowerPoint and all of the slides are clean. They're very easy for the students to navigate through, with their instructors. But what our teachers tell us is they love that it comes with all of these notes. It comes with notes of this is how you might want to attack this activity. This is how you would roll it out. And obviously, if you were to work with us, I go through a very detailed training to help you understand how to unpack these and to make the most of a really engaging lesson. But here's the thing. If you're in a situation where at your school you're like, well, I meet with the kids every single day. I need more than just one day of a lesson. I need lots of activities. We also have this in a deeper dive. And in fact, for many of the teachers that I work with, I'll even say, why don't, even if you know you want to roll it out in only 1 day, start with our 3 day PowerPoint and then customize it to what aligns best to your state's needs or what your standards are. So we also have of this exact same lesson. Now look at how it is expanded to like almost 50 slides of activities, warm-ups, engagement, strategy questioning, scenarios that we work them through, formative assessments. They really start to get into some really in-depth work. So what's so powerful about this is that you could take this slide deck that you'll be able to download to your computer, pull it apart, move things in, say, oh, I really would like to use this piece that's from my state that I want to slide this in here, make that part of your lesson. Or if you're like, no, this is beautiful exactly the way it is, I'm going to do it start to finish just as it is. Whatever the case, you are set.
Mhm.
Like you have more resources than you could possibly ever get through. So for overwhelmed teachers, I tell them if this overwhelms you, that it's too many activities, they're like, oh my gosh, there's just so much. I don't even know where to start. And I wouldn't, then they don't know what to take out. They're like, I'm so scared I'm going to take out a really, really good key thing. I'm like, then go to the 1 day. Go to the 1 day work through that because the 1 day PowerPoint is the 3 day, but condensed to just
Mhm.
what you would need to get through in, say, like a 50 to 60-minute class period. It's interesting. I have other teachers. I know, Lisa, you've heard this too. They'll say, "Well, I took the 1 day and I stretched it out over three
Yeah.
days because I like let the kids really do deep dive and get into projects." I'm like, fabulous. There's no wrong way to do it than to, the only one wrong way is just if you do nothing, right? So like if you do nothing, that'd be the wrong way. But if you want to like do one of the slides, three of the slides, all 24 slides, 50 slides, that is all doing it the right way. So that's just, I mean, again, there's a reason why these trainings are really more like 6 hours to go into like how you really can unpack this because the teachers will say, "Oh my goodness, show me all the things and let's go, do deep dive in." And we do have those sort of trainings set up. Like I just did a group coaching call just the other day. We have lots of nonstop resources and coaching for you. And so some of these pedagogical projects that your kids can do are embedded. So they are embedded in the slide decks that you get. So this would be an example of a scenario in our professionalism one where we give them these three different articles about how a teacher handles social media from like a cautionary tale, like should you
Mhm.
how should you be on social media, should you post, and then a parent who is actually trash talking a teacher on social media and how that teacher should handle that versus a situation where a principal was kind of playing favorites online. We have the kids think through these different scenarios and kind of also think about it from the stakeholders positions of like, well, if you're a principal, how do you feel about this? If you're the student, how do you feel about this? If you're the parent, and we have them think about them from these different modalities, but then also they get to work with each other in doing a jigsaw. Each one of them takes a different one and then they teach the class when they get to split up. So lots of cool things are already embedded within the actual curriculum, but then we also have things like our competition and contest projects are amazing. I tell teachers all the time, if you don't have any way to maybe get kids to state or to nationals this year, first of all, put it on the docket. The kids will love it. It's incredible. But even if you don't, use the competition and contest projects that were created for students who are going to conferences as classroom projects.
Yeah.
They are already built for you. They have everything down to the rubric, the scoring scales, everything that you would need as a teacher. And when we're coming up as a teacher, this is my 30th year as an educator, and I know that sometimes lesson planning is the hardest thing. You're just like, okay, so do I have the rubrics? Do I have this and this? It's all done for you. So like this is one of my favorite ones called Ethical Dilemma Competition. It's a team competition where you get the kids to talk about a real scenario that teachers, could or have faced. And then they have to like pick it apart and kind of think like, well, what would be like some different paths that this teacher could take to get out of this ethical dilemma? And they have to look at things like the code of ethics. They have to do some research. We're going to give them a lot of things that they can go over and think about. And then they get into discussion groups and then they create a written analysis and then they do a presentation and they love it because they want to be thinking, this is their future career. They want like, give me all the scenarios, tell me what I could be facing one day, and let us work through it. Competitions and contests, this is even a sheet that I recommend to my teachers, print this slide out and have them check off ones that sound interesting to them. Some of the kids are like, ooh, children's literature, I'd like to build a book. So we've got all of these different competition types. Lesson planning and delivery obviously is that opportunity for them to get up and show some, pedagogical skills. But then we have things as simple as just like, tell us why you want to be a teacher. We call that the educator's rising moment. That is something that's an entry point for everybody. So there is a type of a competition or contest project for every student in your class. And let me tell you, when we go to conference and we say, what do you love so much about being in your chapter or in your class and pathway? What projects? They're like the competitions. We love them. They love doing the projects. They're going to get to interview people. They're going to get to go in, play teacher. They're going to get to build bulletin boards. This is really where they get their hands in the mix and show what they know. So, and listen, we're all teachers. This is what I would want to do, right? Like I would want to be able to like let me go play in this world and start to experiment in a safe place. Just as an example, these little things give me chills because like I know these kids. I met them just a few months ago. I wasn't sure if I had permission to use their pictures, so I put the smiley face. But these were kids who were so proud to show us their interactive bulletin boards where they did basically they create a lesson, but they put it onto these boards and then they come and present it to us. But imagine Your kids don't have to go to conference to do this. They can do
Mhm.
this in your class
Yep.
and then present these almost like a science fair type style to the school, or let some of the
Yeah.
teachers put them up in your faculty break room and let the teachers see what these kids are coming up with. They're going to want to steal them and say, "Come put this up in my room."
And Debbie, too, if you're using them as semester-based projects, your kids maybe you don't have the resources to go to competition, which is understandable. But if you do have the resources and you have a student who's like, no, I don't want to compete, like that's not for me, I always suggest to my teachers in September, let them choose a project or a competition to work on as a project-based assessment. I guarantee you, probably 90% of those kids who say, oh, I don't want to compete, by the time they turn it in around December, and they get the feedback from you and they're going to want to submit around February. So just keep that in mind that that's also something that helps to ignite their passion is doing that in class. Debbie, we only have about 4 more minutes, so I just want to make sure we leave time.
Yeah.
John had some insights and some questions, I think. If there's anybody out in the audience who has a Q&A or a question, please put it in the Q&A so that we can answer that live and or follow up with you via email afterwards. Um, okay, there you go. Debbie,
Yeah. I
back
mean,
to
I
you.
would say just as I'm flipping through, just to let you know, there's no shortage of projects and resources that can align to your state frameworks. We do it all the time. We look at them and they're like, there's literally more than you ever could actually get all of your students to wrap their heads around. And like the micro credentials you talked about, these are what I like to call the capstone projects. They are going to be a
Yeah.
little bit of a deeper dive, but imagine your kids could get into one of these basically per semester. And, if
Mhm.
you have multi-year programs, you have that. And obviously, getting your kids ready for clinicals, we've got all the goodies to get them ready for that as well.
It'd be one of the things I want to ask. I remember the teacher preparation program in the high school in the district I worked, and as the technology guru in the district, I got to come in and teach the kids how to use the PowerPoint, not the PowerPoint, the Promethean decks.
Mm,
When I
yeah.
saw the picture of the interactive boards, there may be some schools where they want to turn kids on to some of the technology, and it was
Mm,
it was an incredible experience because the kids go, "Oh, that's how you make those things." Because it was always a mystery. We of course trained the teachers on how to do interactivity with these decks that teachers would put together, and they actually got to see how they were put together. My question is, if you want to do that type of thing, if you want to modify one of those contests that you showed us, or if you had the deck of, let's say, the 1 or the 3 day lesson, and you wanted to bring in something local. Now, obviously, as a national organization, we've tailored these lessons so that they can be applied across all 50 states. And that
Right.
was part of this update that we put out for this school year. So what you're showing us today, that's the new curriculum. It's clearly labeled when you go into our portal. It's the 25, I think the 28. We
yeah.
have a 3 year cycle that we update. But if I have something local, for instance, if I want to teach my kids the lesson plan format that's required at
Um,
my school, or I want to do an ethical dilemma that's something that just happened in the news yesterday.
Hmm.
How easy is it for me to manipulate the materials so that I can embed it? Because I know some folks out there, I know teachers tend to be an aesthetic bunch. They want things to look nice. You talked about the clean slides. How hard is it to manipulate what we give you to tailor it to your audience, whether it's doing more tech stuff, whether it's adding in local news or local policies or that type of thing?
I will say it does depend on the technology abilities of your teachers, right? Because I for one, I find it to be super simple because working with PowerPoint, Canva, Google Docs, Google Slides, all of that is very easy for me. But here's what I think is the most powerful thing to remember. No one who gets this curriculum is going to feel alone in this work.
mm,
They are
mm,
instantly going to have like a team of allies to help them. So we not only have, me as the national implementation manager, but I have a team of area support coordinators who can help with these sort of questions and they say like, help, I have the PowerPoint. I need to slide in something between like slide 8 and 10. So basically slide 9, I want to remove and I want to put my own thing in there. We got you. No problem. We'll set up a little Zoom call. We'll, get it going. And that's not even at an extra cost. That's just we love this work and we love helping teachers, and this is what we are passionate about doing. So really the answer should be it's a piece of cake, John. Like, like I mean, you basically get personal assistance in this like white glove service. So it's very easy actually.
So
So
if
we
we were to take away anything from today, it's yes. The answer is yes. Whatever you'd like to do, the
That's right.
answer is yes. We do have one question and we are at time. John, if you have one more question or do you want to answer this one? Did you use input from students on the developed lessons? Anyone want to take that or you want me to take that?
I mean, so I work on the programs team and I work closely with the curriculum manager who helped develop all this stuff. And I can tell you, we don't do anything at PDK Ed Rising that doesn't go through a lot of cycles of have we done our field research and analysis? Have we gathered data? We put out surveys constantly
Yeah.
to try to say, give us feedback. What do you think about this? And
Yeah.
that's also one of the reasons why we have our area support coordinators to like make those calls and say what's working, what isn't, what do you need from us? I run coaching calls and I'm always like, let's go, give me your
Yeah.
questions. What do you want? So
And also
yes, but
we had
also
a
like
whole curriculum team. We had a whole revision team. There were lessons I mean, when our first curriculum started, there were lessons that were shared with teachers and had them actually teach it and give us feedback. So the students' input was gathered on those lessons of what they liked, what they didn't like, what they would appreciate. And I think the more information that we gather from, we give surveys, we give beginning of year survey, end of year surveys for the teachers. The students are always sharing things with us as well, things that they like, and especially with competitions too. So we absolutely listen and get input from all of our stakeholders. And the thing I love about PDK is every day that I work here, our conversations are always about teachers and students.
Yep.
Every single day, that is what our focus is. So thank you for that question.
Can I also just say, like, this picture is reminding me where we get the
Yeah.
majority of that student feedback, you go to conference and you got 3,000 plus passionate Ed Rising student members who are there ready to tell you what they like, what they don't like, whatever. And, they love this program and they will tell you they really love doing the projects.
Any other questions from our live audience at this time? And John, if you had any other things to add, let me know now. Yes,
Lisa, I
please.
was
Yeah.
just going to tell folks the QR code there goes to a form if you'd like us to get in touch with you. We are happy to do so. That form will just collect your email address. I know many times we get asked the question, will this webinar be posted? You may have noticed we were recording it. We will post this on our Grow Your Own Webinars page. When you go to educatorsrising.org and click on GYO Webinars, I just want to do a shout out. We have some upcoming webinars that you may be interested in. The next one that we are doing, we have a special guest from ACTE who will be sharing news about the national scene of policy in CTE. And so if you are in that CTE area in your district, you'll want to be sure to tune in for that one. And then the next one is kind of a personal one for us. We are so fortunate to have um, uh, a very well-established author and educator working for us at PDK, Star Saxteen. That'll be sort of a Q&A, get to meet Star, talk a little bit about her journey as a book author. I know many educators out there, they gain this level of expertise and they want to share it with the world. And Star is one of those folks out there who just started writing books and has continued to do so. She's an amazing educator. She's a really fun person as well, but we encourage you to sign up for that one. I believe that's on November 5th. It's an opportunity to meet Star Saxteen. So
Yeah.
without any further questions, Lisa, I'm going to put one last poll up on the screen.
All right. right. If you
And
guys
if
could
you
fill out
have
that
them,
poll, and then in the chat, I put our email address. So if you have any questions or 3 a.m. thoughts that you're wondering about, please feel free to reach out to community@educatorsrising.org. Sorry, John, go ahead.
nope, I
Did I
was
cut you
done.
off? Okay,
I want to thank everybody for
perfect
being with us
timing.
this afternoon.
Thank you so much for being here. Let us know if you need anything. Have a good day.